You have probably heard the saying that the eyes are the window to the soul. It is a timeless truth, as our eyes reveal the emotions that our mouths can't express. They offer a glimpse of our innermost being, reflecting our innocence or guilt, betraying the secrets of the heart. What if those eyes, ones that are meant to shine and brim with the innocence of a child, were instead used to mask a darker truth? Today, we are diving into the artistic world of Margaret Keane, where her canvases unravel stories that are beyond what is visible. What secret lies beneath the eyes of the children in her paintings? Margaret Keane, born Peggy Doris Hawkins, wasn't just any artist, but a woman who wanted to tell the world her truth through her works. Her paintings, influenced by her personal struggles, were often characterized by big-eyed women, children, and animals in oil and mixed media, becoming iconic. In these paintings, her subjects depicted two major emotions, sadness and joy. In one of her paintings, titled The First Grail, you can see a little girl standing alone on the corner of a street, with tears falling from her big eyes down to her cheek. At a glance of this painting, you can tell that this is a sad child, causing one to wonder with questions in mind, why is the child alone in the first place? Why is the child tearful? What story lies beneath those sad eyes? Margaret began drawing at an early age. Her fascination for big eyes started during her childhood. This is because growing up, she had to rely on visual cues, learning how to understand people talking to her by concentrating on their eyes due to her inability to hear properly, which was caused by a mastoid operation that permanently damaged her eardrum. Before she became known for her big eyes painting, she had humble beginnings where she painted clothing and cribs before starting her career in painting portraits. Margaret's tragedy began when she met Walter Keane at an outdoor art market in mid-1950s. An encounter that would change the course of her life. At that time, Margaret was a single mother, already divorced from her first husband, Frank Ulbrich, and had relocated to San Francisco with her daughter. Walter, who worked in real estate and had a background in art from his studies in Paris, was also divorced and had a daughter from a previous marriage. They were both charmed by each other and soon after got married in Hawaii. Walter later ventured into the art business, selling Margaret's paintings primarily at a jazz club in San Francisco. Unknown to her, he was taking credit for her work because of the signature in the paintings generally signed as Keane. One day, Margaret decided to go to the club where the works were sold and watched Walter selling. It was at this moment she discovered the deception taking place. Walter, a smooth talker and manipulator, however, convinced her to buy into this idea, arguing that it was for the best. Perhaps being overwhelmed by the situation, Margaret continued painting in secret while he took the glory. She continued playing the supportive wife, even as far as publicly acknowledging him as the artist, while consoling herself with the thought that her works were at least shown. As the paintings of children grew in popularity and admiration, often referred to as keen eyes or big-eyed waifs, so was Walter's fame, as the public kept recognizing him as the artist. Margaret couldn't live with this. The more her works gained attention, the more she felt trapped. This made her miserable each day, with his deception becoming her prison. At one point, she confronted Walter, and since then, he started threatening her and emotionally abusing her. He locked her in the studio to do nothing but paint for hours, ensuring that she produced more paintings. During this period, her paintings started to change. The eyes of her subjects became sad and sorrowful. The children in her paintings had teary eyes and sometimes looked gloomy, reflecting her own misery and helplessness. A silent cry for help, because she was afraid of him and afraid to speak up. After years of experiencing this torture and abuse in her marriage, Margaret finally found the courage to leave with her daughter, divorcing him and later remarried in Hawaii. As she began her new life, she knew that she had to reclaim her identity as the artist behind those paintings, and that meant exposing Walter's lies. In 1970, a few years after the divorce, Margaret Keane took a bold step, announcing on a radio broadcast that she was the real artist behind the paintings of Big Eyes that Walter Keane had been taking credit for.
I had just announced for the first time publicly on a radio show in San Francisco that I had done all of the Keane paintings and not my ex-husband.
Following the broadcast, a public paint-off was set up by Bill Fang, who was a reporter in San Francisco, together with the media present. Although Margaret showed up to prove herself, Walter refused to attend. Little did he know that his day of reckoning was close, and his lies and deception would unravel, coming to an end. In 1986, Margaret opened a case in court on the grounds of defamation, suing both Walter and USA Today for publishing a story claiming that she was lying. During the trial, the judge arranged a paint-off inviting both Margaret and Walter to produce a big-eyed painting in the courtroom to determine who the real artist was. Reality began to set in for Walter, who once believed in his own deception. While Margaret was able to finish painting in an hour, he sat there, unable to produce anything, but rather give excuses under the pretense of an arm injury. She later won the case by proving beyond doubt that she was the real artist and was awarded $4 million in damages. Margaret moved forward with her life. To her, the victory was more about claiming her rights than it being financial. She produced works with subjects that looked happier and bright eyes that sparkled with life. Throughout her life, she remained devoted to her faith as a Jehovah's Witness, crediting it and the Bible for giving her the courage to speak up. In 2014, a biographical film of Margaret Keane titled Big Eyes and directed by Tim Burton was released. After this release, there was a reignition of interest in her works. The story of her life as an artist who was once forced into the shadows brings to light one of the horrors of plagiarism and a reminder that truth will always find its way out. Margaret's paintings of Big Eyes became an inspiration in the creation of cartoon illustrations and toys. Today's largest collection of her works is situated in a gallery in San Francisco.